Hey guys, so 2 days ago Apple announced the MacBook Pro 16. This is a gorgeous looking laptop that's coming out here in the UK in 2 weeks. And what I'd like to do in this video is just give you my overall thoughts on this laptop. But before I jump over to the browser, I just want to quickly run down the specs and the major changes here. The first one being that they've brought back the escape key. The touch bar is still there, but they have returned the escape key. A little bit bizarre to me that they took it away in the first place, but the escape key is back. And they've also replaced the butterfly keyboard with a new Magic keyboard, which is apparently more reliable and better to type on. Now, as the name suggests, the display size has went from 15.4 inches to 16 inches, and the resolution has went up a little bit because of that. But the weight has also, it's increased from 1.83 kilograms to 2 kilograms. I don't think 2 kilograms is that heavy for a laptop of that size, but maybe some people will disagree. It comes with a 100 watt hour battery, which is the most that you can get in a laptop before you're allowed to, take it on a plane. It's the maximum battery size you're allowed on a laptop on a plane. And that will give you around 11 hours of battery usage, apparently. The brightness is 500 nits, up to 500 nits. From a performance point of view, you can either get a 6-core i7-9750H or the 8-core 9980HK. And there's two GPUs. You can either get the 4GB AMD 5300M or the 8GB AMD 5500M. Both of those are new. There's a lot of benchmarks coming out for those, but it's not the most powerful GPUs in the world. From a memory point of view, you can get from 16 gigabytes to 64 gigabytes, and you can get 512 gigabytes of SSD all the way up to 8 terabytes. So that's a lot of storage, but there's two things to really note about the memory and the SSD. Well, really it's one thing. They share it in common. Both the SSD and the memory are soldered onto the motherboard. That means that you can never upgrade it. So what you buy when you buy the MacBook Pro 16 is what you're always going to be stuck with. It's a little bit disappointing, but that's the way that Apple are handling it. Now, that in itself is a little bit of a pain, but more is the fact that Apple are charging through the nose for increasing memory and increasing SSD. They're charging about 3 to 4 times the price of memory, for example, as you could just buying the RAM yourself. But let's jump over to the browser and have a closer look at the MacBook Pro 16. So you can see it here, and as I was saying, this is a gorgeous looking laptop. You can see the 720p webcam at the top, and it's a MacBook Pro, it's a MacBook, it's a very simple design, but I think it's a very, very classical design almost. It's a really nice display. Now, a lot of people won't like the fact that there isn't a lot of ports here. You've got 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports and a 3.5mm headphone jack, but that is it. You use the Thunderbolt 3 for power. You use it for transferring everything. You use it for connecting everything. Now, a lot of people won't like that. Some people still want Type A USB ports. It's one of those things. I can see both arguments, but if you're buying this, chances are you're going to have to buy some dongles, some USB hubs, some Thunderbolt 3 hubs, adapters, etc. You're just going to have to buy that. It's just part and parcel of it. But it is the way that things are going. We're slowly transferring from Type A to Type C. So, it's a good laptop for the future. So this area here tells you what you can get. Up to 8 terabytes of storage, up to an AMD Radeon Pro 5000M, up to 8 cores CPU, up to 64 gigabytes of memory, 6 speaker sound system. I think there's 3 microphones as well. Scroll down here, 16-inch Retina display, 500 nits of brightness, P3 wide color gamut. So this ticks a lot of boxes, and I must admit, I really do like the design of this. I really do, and I think the touch bar, there's a lot of people that don't like it, but I think this is one of those features where if you use it, you'll get a lot from it. As someone who does video editing, this is something I would get a lot of use out of, and even just browsing the web and using Photoshop and different things, I would use that a lot. So it's a very attractive feature to me, it really is, and it's something I think I would use a lot. Now, thermals are apparently quite good with this. I've watched a few early reviews on this, and apparently it's not too loud. The thermals are good, but again, the RAM, the SSD, all of that is soldered. So I'll leave a link to this and you can check it out. A lot of this is the marketing talk about it being, 4 times this, 2 times that and all that. But have a look at that and also have a look at the official announcement. I'll also leave a link to this page. This this page has got a ridiculous amount of advertisements on it, but you can see that the resolution used to be 2880 by 1800. It's now 3072 by 1920. But there's some good comparisons there between the 16-inch model and the older 15-inch model, so please do check that out. Now, on the subject of the GPU, these GPUs are new and there's not a lot of benchmarks out there so far. But Notebook Check does have 2 pages for them. I'll leave a link to both of these. I've got some specs about them. The 5300M is the default one, the one you'll get without paying extra. It's the lowest model. They don't have any benchmarks with that so far, but it's a 4GB module. I think it'll be below a 1650, but they're positioning the 5500M with their only benchmark so far, and they're putting it between a 1650 and a 1660 Ti. So the 1650 is a popular GPU. You'll see it in a lot of laptops, most famously the XPS 15. You'll see the 1650. This is being positioned between a 1650 and a 1660 Ti as far as performance goes. And just for reference, beyond the 1660 Ti, you've got the RTX 2060, 2070, 2080 Max-Q, etc. So this isn't the most powerful GPU on the market. And certainly when you're thinking about from a content creation point of view, you know, this isn't going to compete with some of the Quadro GPUs that are out there as well that can do, 6, 8, 12 gigabytes, etc. This is kind of a middle of the line GPU, but I think for a lot of people it will be enough. Now, I'll jump back to the price because this is really one of the sticking factors of this. The fact that memory and SSD are soldered, it's not a deal breaker if you can max out the laptop, but it's one of those things, you have to spend a lot of money in the first place to get what you want. Now, you can do some comparisons between the 13-inch model and the 16-inch model. The 13-inch is about 1.37 kilograms, but I'd be more inclined to go for the 16-inch here. So you can see there. And again, just another pet hate. Microsoft do this, Google do this as well now. But I hate how they don't actually tell you the CPU. This is a 9750H. This is a 9980HK. I don't know why they don't just tell you that. I really don't. What are they hiding here? I really don't know. But anyway, the base price here in the UK, similar prices in the USA, you've got $2,399 for the base model, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes. Now, I think that if you're just looking for a good laptop, I think that that is a good model and it'll be suitable for a lot of people. It is suitable for a lot of people. Space Grey or Silver. I think the base model is at a price that a lot of people will opt for that. I really do, right? But 16 gigabytes, if you're buying a laptop like this, at the very least, if you don't want to upgrade the CPU, I would say that go for 32 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of memory. But look at that. I can pick up 32 gigabytes of RAM for like £120 here in the UK, and they're charging 360 to go from 16 to 32. So for one 16 gigabyte module, which should only cost about 50 or 60 pounds, they are charging 360. It's very, very frustrating that they do this. I wouldn't have such a problem with the RAM and the SSD being soldered if the prices were just a little bit of a markup. But these markup prices are absolutely insulting. They really are. And I realise that this is how Apple make their money and, it's how they charge a premium. But RAM should not cost that much. They're just, really, charging people through the nose for this. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. But I would say that even if you're going for the base model, I'd probably still gravitate towards recommending 32 gigabytes for most people, simply because you can upgrade it later. But if you only want 16 gigabytes, 2,400 is roughly what you want, what you have to pay, sorry. Now, the real benefit of this and the real benefit of this new 16 gigabyte model is that you can upgrade to an 8-core and you can upgrade to a GPU, which is pretty competitive. It's not going to compare against a Lenovo P53 or anything like that, or a Precision 5540. But for this kind of market, I think this is quite a very powerful little computer and a 2-kilogram laptop. Let's not forget as well the Lenovo P53 and laptops like that, these workstations, they're a lot more powerful, and you can spec them ridiculous things, 8-core CPU, 128 gigabytes of RAM, etc., with really powerful Quadro 5000Ms. But those things are quite heavy as well. They're about 2.5 kilograms. This is only 2 kilograms. So, there's a few things there to take into account. This is a lighter laptop, and when you take something powerful and you put it into a smaller chassis, generally you do have to pay more for that privilege. But this is the 8-core option. If you want to go up to the i9 there, so you go up to the i9, you've got the 32 gigabytes, or even go up to 64. I mean, look at that, £3,689. The base model there's 5500M with 4 gigabytes of memory. I would say for the difference, go for the 8 gigabyte module. I think that's not much of an upgrade. You should go for that. But I mean, just looking at this, getting the top CPU, 64 gigabytes of memory, and 8 gigabytes of GPU, you're right at £3,789. So this is an expensive laptop at this point. It really is. And it's important to note as well that you can get an XPS 15 with very, very close to these specs for pretty much half the price. Nearly half the price in this. So you are paying a premium. You're paying the premium for having Apple. Now, this one comes with 1 terabyte of storage. You know, you can get a 2 terabyte drive. Never mind upgrading from 1 to 2. You can get a 2 terabyte drive on its own for like 250 or something like that. But it's 360, 540. Yeah, you're nearly at $6,000 there. But I'm not going to fault them for that. SSD prices do get a little bit crazy towards the higher end. I think that 1 terabyte should be enough for most people. Certainly if you can use, you know, things like, if I can get it here, so things like the Samsung T5 here. That's a terabyte. You can use it, put it in USB Type-C, it will connect. But for me, if I was buying this laptop, I'd probably gravitate towards the top i9 processor with 64 gigabytes of memory and with the 8 gigabyte GPU, and you'd be talking $3,789. So, you know, this isn't going to scare away a lot of people. A lot of people are happy to pay this premium, certainly if they pay it up. But it is important to note that the way that Apple have set this up is that you've got your base models at 2400 and 2800, but when you want to upgrade the memory or the SSD, they don't really charge you through the nose for the GPU or the CPU, in my opinion. They're not really taking the piss. But for the memory and SSD, if you're looking to upgrade, they are just going to charge you through the nose for it. They really are. So, to summarize, forgetting about the price for a second, I think that this is a really, really good upgrade from Apple. I really do. They've really refined the product. It's a 2 kilogram laptop. It's a very good looking laptop, very powerful laptop. It's got a beautiful display, good speakers, good microphones. It's, you know, a refinement of a product which they kind of tweaked a little bit the wrong way with the removing the escape key and the keyboard, etc. But they've addressed a lot of problems that the last version had, and I think this is a major improvement. The CPUs being offered are really good. The GPUs are kind of middle of the line, kind of what you would expect in something like an XPS 15. There's, you know, certainly if you look at workstations and gaming laptops, you can get more powerful GPUs out there. But for a laptop of this kind, it's hard to criticize them for that. The GPUs are certainly up for most jobs when it comes to video editing, Photoshop, CAD and all that. Across the board, I think that this is a fantastic laptop. But what really puts me off it is the fact that the SSD and the RAM is soldered. And that always makes me want to max out the RAM when I'm buying it, because I know that I can never upgrade it later. And the problem is that Apple are charging way, way too much for adding additional memory and adding additional storage. The memory in particular is something that really annoys me, because one 16 gigabyte module, you know, it's not that much. It really isn't that much. 32 gigabytes, you know, pay another £360 to go from 16 to 32. Something just doesn't sit right for me. I mean, I can pick up a single 32 gigabyte module for £110, a Samsung module. So yeah, they're charging a hefty premium for the memory. And it's a little bit frustrating that it's all soldered, but it is the route that they've went down. Let me know what you think about it, guys. Overall, I do think this is a fantastic laptop. I can see why many people would buy it, but you do, as always, have to pay the Apple Premium. Let me know what you think in the comment area, guys, and I will speak to you all in the next one. Take care.